Welcome, everybody, to the Jim Master Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are doing well. It's nice to see all the comments already coming in from our JMS Lovity Squad, where everybody is sharing their light love and levity and lovity. Yeah, we do that all the time. This is our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series, bringing back the lost art of conversation. If this is your first time here, we welcome you to stick with us. You're going to learn a lot tonight. We're going to have a good time. We always have warm conversations, poignant conversations, and so much more, great entertainment and all the rest, with our amazing guests that come in from all around the world. If this is your first time, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live. I am your host, Jim Masters. You're watching us on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. That's right, subscribe to Jim Masters TV. We would love that. Click the notification bell so you never miss any of our incredible episodes. And while you're there, also give this episode and all the episodes in our series that you love, give it a hearty thumbs up like. We would really appreciate that. And drop a comment on our YouTube channel as well. We're going to check in with our Lovity Squad. They're commenting. They're watching live from around the world. You can comment live right now if you'd like to. When you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can actually participate in the chat, the live chat that happens during the show when you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe so you can chat during the live action. You can also comment on our YouTube channel as well afterwards and during the show if you'd like to as well. We look at all those and respond to those as well. Shana Pereira is our very special guest, leader, visionary, faith advocate, and organ transplant thriver. And I absolutely love that description. We're going to define all of that as we go along here. My very, very special guest coming to us live from San Diego, California. This is an inspiring and empowering episode of our series, an uplifting one for 40-year-old advertising executive Shana. Resiliency and defying the odds are in her DNA. Leaving her native Australia with just $500 in the pocket to start over in the United States, she rose to the top of her profession by the time she reached 30, coming back from the brink of death. On Christmas Eve, 2015, an emergency room visit revealed Shana's kidneys were failing and she would need a transplant. In 2018, as Shana juggled work and 11 hours of dialysis treatments every day, a woman actually volunteered to be a donor. And she was a donor after hearing her story on a podcast. It took another 2 years for Shana's donor to be approved, just as COVID-19 hit and kidney transplants nationwide were put on hold. Really incredible that she's here, and boy, such a blessing that she's here as well. And again, she's going to join us live in just a second. Just want to tell you a little bit more about her incredible story. So as I was saying, everything with COVID-19 came to a grinding halt, but one last round of tests brought two stunning revelations: a kidney cyst that was likely cancerous, and then a failing heart operating at only 15%. If they couldn't get Shana's heart to function above 50%, she would actually need a heart transplant. Telling her best friend the news, her best friend's response was unexpected. She said, quote, "Oh my God, that's a Hallmark movie. At Thanksgiving, you're going to get the surgery to get a kidney removed, and then at Christmas, you're going to get your heart and your kidney. It's going to be an amazing Christmas miracle," unquote. Well, Shana then shared this with her doctors, and it all started from there. All of her clearance appointments to be on the list before Christmas. And Shana's kidney was removed the weekend before Thanksgiving and confirmed to be cancer-free, which is beautiful. On Christmas Day at 10:30 p.m., Shana learned there was a heart and kidney coming to her. Then the unthinkable happened. Shana flatlined 3 hours before scheduled surgery. Her heart was kept manually beating until the donor's heart and kidney arrived by helicopter. A year later, Shana is healing well and continues to make leaps and bounds in her healing. Her partnership with her doctor's team is inspiring, and she continues to advocate for organ donation and believing in the miraculous. We are so honored to have her here live and direct from San Diego, California. She has a wonderful career as well in the business world and so much more, great successes. But this was something that really, came out of left field, and she's wanted to share her story because it can inspire others. She's wanted to speak to it. Some people, they sort of hide under a rock and disappear when things happen in life, but she wants to express, her story to all of us, and we are so honored that she wants to do that here on the show. Again, sometimes, we're all going through something in our lives, and we need a little of inspiration. We need some empowerment. We need some positive vibes. And we talk a lot about that here on the Jim Master Show Live. As much as we have levity and fun and great guests and entertainment and music and all kinds of cool things, sometimes we get to the nitty gritty of life too on our series. That's why our series offers really something for everybody in entertainment and lifestyle and variety, and our talk series. And we're going to talk about that. So again, this is going to be very inspiring. And we thank all of you who are commenting right now for joining us. And let's welcome Shana live and direct from San Diego, California. Shana, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so blessed to be here with you, and I'm honored that you would have me on. Thank you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. We welcome you with open arms and loving hearts, as we say. I love the term, the expression, organ transplant thriver. Usually it's recipient, and then they leave it at that. Tell us about that particular phrase, organ transplant thriver. It's so hopeful. It's so positive. You are thriving. And I just love the way that that's the way you approach everything.
Thank you. I think quite often it's very easy for us to get caught up in our circumstances. And I'm
Yes.
a real believer, and I've seen the results of the importance of your mental strength and the energy in which you exude. And
Yes.
for me, that made a massive, massive difference. I truly believe that that made the difference as to me being here and being alive and not. And my doctors will all testify to that, where they have all said that the mental strength in which I exuded, the specificity that I had around descriptors and words, and the way in which I would describe what was happening, they learned a lot from that through bedside manner. For example, I wasn't allowed to be called a patient at any point in time.
Mm.
It was just an experience that the doctor and I were going through, problems that we were solving in the moment, not anything as a label forever. So it was things like that that really made a difference. So thriving, thriver, and having that as a part of the story is quite important to me, and I think others can take from that.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. People are probably saying, wait a minute, I'm hearing a little of an Australian accent, the beautiful Australian accent. Tell us a little bit about your background growing up and where in Australia, and some of the wonderful experiences you had growing up in Australia.
Yeah, so my family are refugees from a country called East Timor. They escaped a war, and the closest city to East Timor was Darwin in Australia, which is a outback. It's really in the middle of the Australian
It's the
outback.
real outback.
It is the real outback. It's known for crocodiles and snakes and spiders and all of those fun things, which, if you were to get to know me, it's a shocker that I even could be born there, and the amount of animals I don't like to interact with. It really doesn't go together. Um, but yeah, that's where I grew up. So I have a somewhat unique background, I think, in the sense that I was born in Australia, born in the outback, immigrated to Los Angeles from immigrant parents to Australia, and now I have American organs. So when someone asks me where I'm from or what my background is, that's almost the hardest question to answer.
And now with those American organs, you're craving apple pie and all the American foods, right? You know
Definitely.
all the words to the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I've been here now for 20, I want to say 20 years, close to. I moved here in 2003. So almost 20 years.
And that, did you move alone? Was it you that came because of career and, opportunity?
Yes. Well, it's funny that you say the real outback because I saw an ad in the newspaper in Australia, and it said live and work in Los Angeles, promoting the Northern Territory where I'm from. And I thought that can't be a real job. And when I went to the job interview, it was a government position for the tourism board of the Northern Territory based in Los Angeles. And they said to me, America has the Grand Canyon, they've got Arizona, they've got Montana, they have their own outback. Why would people want to come to this outback in Australia? And I
Yeah,
said, because it's the real outback.
that's the
And at
real
the
one.
time, I didn't realize that was the tagline. So I think that got me the job. And I came over as an intern, and the goal was to be here for a year and then go home and say, well, I've worked in Los Angeles, so I should, it should put me at the top of the list of being able to get a marketing role in Australia. And turns out I ended up staying here until now. So I really loved it. And, it's funny the way life works, where I got my heart and kidney transplant at Cedars, which is one of the
Cedar
best
Sinai,
hospitals in
yeah.
the world for heart
Yes.
transplants and transplants overall. So, it's just the synchronicity of that even was a bit meant to be.
Mm. So you came over in a fabulous career and a visionary. I like that title, leader, visionary, faith advocate as well. Tell us about the visionary part of you and just how you look at life and how you apply it to your career, but also really all aspects of your life as a visionary.
Yeah, it's funny. Hearing myself described as that really doesn't feel right, in the sense of like, I feel like it's a little bit out of reach for most, like it feels a little far-fetched, if you will, for just I really relate to myself as a very normal person that has gone through things. And when it comes to having vision or being able to see things like maybe this can be a Christmas movie, it really comes from a level of curiosity and a level of feel. I've always had the connection to, if one person has done something in the world, then I can do it. If it's one person, then it must be humanly possible. And if it's humanly possible, then there's got to be a way that I can make it happen. And that's kind of always how I felt about life, even as a little kid, which I think is where people would attribute the word visionary to how they would describe me. It really comes from that notion of like, if just even 10 people have done it, I feel like then anyone can. Like, they're not special.
Yes.
There's going to
Yes.
be some kind of mechanics to how they did it that I can learn or figure out. And so that, I think, is where I'm not afraid to really see the vision in things. I'm not afraid to really look at things and go, maybe, what if we made it 10 times bigger, and why not? And
Do
that
you
really translated in my transplants.
Do you think any of that came from the family inspirations, the upbringing, the family coming over, escaping, oppression and war from another location, going to Australia, being in the outback, which also requires resilience and strength and survival in a way? Do you
Yeah.
think that also became sort of absorbed by you and inbred to the point where these challenges, not only picking up and moving to another country, moving to the United States, even though the United States is open and welcoming. Still, it's a foreign country. It's a whole new the culture, has differences, similarities and differences, and just picking up and moving thousands of miles away for the career, that takes some resilience and visionary thinking and leadership qualities, but also hope and persistence. When looking back at all of that, which I'm sure you've reflected on it, would you say some of that upbringing and some of the things that were instilled in you earlier and seeing the family doing what they were doing to get by sort of passed on to you and you've been able to tap into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there is to your point, I love the way in which you recapped that, because there really is an energy in being someone that does go to a different country where, or it doesn't even take a different country, starting over, right?
Yes.
Whatever version of that is for a different people, whatever context that is, the starting over of something. Um, the resilience, I think, comes from two things, at least in my own experience, and seeing my elders and ancestors kind of go through that and learning about how they went through it. The decision that gets made around, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it, and then the pride that is needed to let go of, or the ego that's needed to be let go of, to say, however that looks at the beginning, I'm going to go through it and ride it out. And that's what I really got from my grandparents and my parents, where, they had to learn English. And they came from a country where they were established and had great jobs. And my family were very respected, well respected members of the community, leaders in their own rights. And then coming to Australia and kind of having to take on cleaning jobs to start with, of like, this is where we're starting from. But
Yeah.
keeping their eye on a bigger picture of like, we've made this decision, we've had to save our lives, and here we are. So yeah, definitely, I think I absolutely learned from watching and seeing their experience, um, and also I feel like I've also really been connected very closely, and I don't know where it came from actually, but really been connected closely to, you only have one life. We say that like a tagline.
Like a tagline. Yeah.
Yeah, but really though, like today, Tuesday, the 18th of January, 2022, will never again be in the history of forever. Really brings me kind of back to like, what am I going to do with today? And I've always had a connection to that,
Yeah.
very young. And then I was watching a documentary at 15, and the voiceover comes on and says, "Did you know you sleep for one third of your life?"
Yeah.
And
You
I thought,
sleep,
oh my God,
that's a
oh,
lot, right?
5 years.
Although I wish I could get that because I haven't been sleeping that well lately.
Yeah, you might be at a quarter maybe.
I was going to say a quarter, I think, for
Right?
me.
When
Yeah.
I was 15, I thought, there's no way that I've slept for 5 years straight, and it rocked me to the core. So just had a different relationship to like, what are you going to do today? I think than most others.
So how do you, when you wake up, what's one of the first things you do? Do you, thank above for the fact that your eyes opened and you're here and every day is a gift?
Yeah, it's interesting. First of all, it's funny that I've been asked that question more than I thought I would be. But the one thing that I really have given up is alarm clocks. I don't shock my body into anything anymore. I let it rest. I let it wake up when it needs to. When I'm tired, I go to sleep. When I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm thirsty, I drink. I literally don't shock it into anything. So just being able to wake up when it wakes up is something that I think I didn't place enough importance on. I've always wanted to run my body in a particular way and have it do certain things. And
Almost like forcing it sort of to
yeah,
comply to your hours and your demands and your stresses, almost as if you would look at the body like a rubber band where it can just automatically do that. But there's certain things that the body, mind, and spirit need itself just to operate according to its plan and its design. And sometimes those two worlds collide, right?
yes, exactly. Exactly. And so now I really treat myself like a toddler, where it's like if a toddler is hungry, and Jim, you and I are on this podcast live, it doesn't care. You know? If
I
they're
say
hungry.
I'm a big kid in adult clothing.
Yes, exactly, exactly, aren't we all? But in that spirit, I do my best to wake up. Given that I'm waking up without an alarm clock, I think that alone makes a huge difference to my mood. And then I really do my best to just kind of breathe it all in, go and get sunshine immediately. Like, even if I'm just standing next to the window, just to feel like, okay, it's a new day.
Hmm.
And
Right.
take those couple of moments of like, what am I going to make of it? Not like a game plan, but more like no matter what circumstances are coming up today, I'm going to face them, and I'm going to face them from a place of power and
Hmm.
groundedness. It doesn't always work. That's the honest truth. It doesn't always work, but I
And
don't.
I like the fact that you are you're authentic and real about that. You understand that not every day is going to be ideal.
No,
The world doesn't operate that way, and sometimes it takes time and wisdom and years to realize that. Right? We think we can control everything. We can just be the ones who are in the driver's seat 24/7. The animal population, the ocean, the sun, the earth, other people, there's a whole rhythm to all of this, and you can create your world and your bubble, but you also have to be able to connect with and tap into and flow with the rivers and everything else of life, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that that feeling of, I think so often these days, people have said to me, I bet you're just so like grounded and zen. I'm like, not at all. You know, not at
Could be
all.
maybe the tone of your voice is very soothing and it
Oh,
just
thank
sounds very sort of calming. I hear those comments as well. Doesn't mean that inside all cylinders are not firing. They usually
exactly,
are.
exactly. And you could see my circle of friends, my really close friends, where we've spent many a day bawling and laughing at the same time, in just being like, this is devastating and this cannot be real, all at the same time.
Everything, do you have that happen too? I have that happen. I talk about it all the time, where everything happens. I have like where there might be half a day where everything is quiet, and then in 1 hour, 75 things are happening all at the same time. They all need attention, they all need care, they all need response. And I'm trying to figure this out for somebody, or it could be work related, it could be anything, and the phone's ringing and the texts are coming in and the emails coming in, and I'm still trying to fix or correct or do what I have to do with the first thing that has been presented to me. And now this has come in and this and this, and I'll say, where were you all 3 hours ago when I was free as a bird? And now it's like somebody pressed a button and they know, dump it all on at once. He can handle it. Dump it
Exactly.
all on in that 1 hour. And I'm like, come on, can we space out some of this chaos? You have that too?
Exactly. I do. I mean, the ultimate example, I think, for me was my kidney donor. Her name was Katie. She was so beautiful. She's an amazing teacher in Virginia. And finally, she got approved. And we were like, yes, like her last test. It was extended by 6 months because of COVID. And finally, she's approved. We're
How
six
does
weeks.
that work? A couple of our viewers have been asking that, fascinated by how the whole organ donor and transplant and recipient and thriver works. Um, when you say getting approved and it takes time, what are they actually looking for? Is it the fact that there would be a match? How does that all work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, for kidney transplant, what happens is you are able to accept a living donor or a deceased donor. So, many people don't know that you can actually donate your kidney and you can survive very happily and healthily with one kidney. And so, really, all you need is one kidney. And so, you're able to donate your second kidney to someone who is experiencing kidney failure and needs a transplant. To do that, there's a process of getting approved where they go through, not only are you a match in multiple different ways, I believe it's 6 points, including blood type and antibodies, and a lot more scientific than I know, around a physical match, but also that your kidney donor is mentally ready to be able to provide their kidney, emotionally ready, that there is a whole person that they evaluate to make sure that in all aspects of that person's life that they are able to donate, that it's not going to be a financial burden or cause a financial burden, that they truly are ready to donate a kidney. It's a big decision. So that's part of the evaluation process. It normally takes 6 months, maximum a year. Given we had COVID in between, there was a couple of tests that had to wait because a lot of the labs were only doing COVID testing for a certain period. And then kidney transplants are seen as an elective surgery, which to me is just unbelievable that that is the case,
Mm.
because you can survive on dialysis, is what the theory is.
And did being in America help the situation in terms of expediting it, or any of the other things that made this happen? Was it an advantage that you happened to be in the United States?
I would say the quality of surgeons in the United States, or Cedars especially, is what I can speak to. The quality of surgeons at Cedars is distinctly different in my experience. However, there are countries who are opt out countries, which means that if everyone in the country is automatically an organ donor once deceased, and if you don't want to be, you tick no, I don't want to be at the DMV, for example, and you unregister yourself. Here in America, you have to say, yes, I do want to be an organ donor, which that alone, I think, has a really big impact on the wait times in which it takes for a deceased donor. And then for someone like me, I mean, it's hard for me to ask somebody to borrow $100, let alone how to ask them to donate a whole kidney. And the emotions that come up around that are significant, which I think are overlooked a lot of the time, because you can imagine, what if your brother says no?
Hmm.
Like, how do you react to that, right? And it's their right, because he may have great reasons, and yet your life is in danger. It's like, how do how do you balance that emotionally and mentally? Or,
Yeah.
it's a really hard, it was a really hard experience for me in how to ask, but then also how to hear a no. Sometimes we're so worried about getting rejected by dating. Then you can imagine on an organ side of things, when you're in physical pain and a person says, no, sorry, I can't help you.
And
When
that's what you've had? There were no's
Yeah,
prior?
definitely. There were definitely people that, and they felt really bad, and they felt really, guilty as well. But that's also, you know what I mean? Like, that's their choice, of course. Like, I
Were
was
they what's a typical, and again, there's nothing typical in life, but
like,
generally, what would be some of the reasons why? Is it, fear on their part of giving it up? Is it that their organs aren't in the best shape anyway? Or is it a combination of things why somebody might possibly say no?
it's hard for me to answer that. I can only go by what people felt comfortable enough to share with me. And I think the main it was all some form of fear and concern, obviously, right? Underpinning. But I think the main things were fear that they would need their own kidneys in the future. The other part of that was, um, if they have children, which I completely understand, right? If one of my kids might need a kidney in the future and I'm the best match. And then the third one was just not knowing the process, or not really understanding the journey, and being a little bit too scared to kind of dig in, because there is some unknowns. For kidney matches, though, the surgical team, there's two different teams. So there's one that takes care of the kidney recipient and one that takes care of the kidney donor. And those two teams never interact.
Mm,
They're kept completely separate on purpose, so that each one has their own advocate group in the journey, and the donor can say no at any time they're not comfortable, which is very important. They are very specific in saying any kind of pre-existing condition, even if someone has had high blood pressure for a period of time or anything like that, that's an absolute no. They won't do a transplant, or they won't allow for the person to donate. So they're very, very rigorous in the evaluation process, hence why it takes so long. And a
mhm.
lot of people don't realize that. They think I'm a yes and it just all happens. There's a very rigorous process, including psychological evaluation. Make sure they're ready mentally for the journey, because it is an emotional one.
What was that like for you, when you heard initially, you're taking life by the bullhorns, you've moved to America, you got a wonderful career going, you're very inspiring to begin with, and things are looking up and everything's going according to plan, and then these diagnoses happen. Um, what was that? I hate when people ask the question, how did you feel? I mean, even when I watch the news, and I've worked in news, but I've just never asked that question. How did you feel when you heard the news?
Right.
I think most people get a good grasp of how you felt. So I never really liked that question of how did you feel? Of course, it was a shock, but maybe for the relatability with our audience, what were some of the things that you experienced when you heard the news? Um, Shock, fear. Okay, we're going to tackle this head on. Did you freeze in place? Tell us maybe a little bit about some of these sensations and reactions that you were experiencing when you first realized what was happening and how important and crucial it really was.
Yeah, that's a great way to ask the question. I appreciate the thoughtfulness in reframing that, because how do you feel doesn't do it justice. And for me, it was Christmas Eve 2015. So it was like overnight in hospital. And on Christmas Day is when they said, you were going to need a kidney transplant. I was in Darwin, in Australia, in my hometown at the time. So thankfully, I was surrounded by my family. And the first experience was stillness. I became very, very still and acutely aware of every little detail, noise, bump in the night, feeling sensation in my entire body, all of a sudden I could feel everything physically. I mean, I felt like little pains in my knees and my ankles and my back. Like it was like every little movement I could feel, and every little noise and sound I could sense. It was like a real stillness that came over me. Um, I got back to the US in the first week of January, and thankfully, I had done, and I think this is where the synchronicities really kind of came forth. I had taught at Loyola Marymount University, and for the class, it was a no textbook course. I didn't like to read, so I was like, these college kids are not going to want to read this big textbook. So let's not do that to all of us. And it was a search engine marketing. It was teaching search engine marketing. And so we had 6 nonprofits, which we got Google grants approved of $10,000 a month. And the students broke up into 6 groups, and they ran a client. Like it was a real client, a nonprofit. They had to have status calls, and it was like a job, like they were interning. Then they got to run real paid search ads where they would see them online if they Googled and their parents Googled. And, it was really fulfilling from that standpoint, very hands-on. One of the nonprofits was the National Kidney Foundation. Mm-hmm. So that was my first phone call, was to a lady named Pierre who ran the foundation at the time. And I said, what do I do? And she goes, well, let's get you connected with our board, which were nephrologists. So it was like, oh, okay, this works. So in the stillness, that was the biggest thing I remember. I was extremely still, and I started to really listen and see the signs.
Were you numb? Were you were frozen in time? It can be scary.
Yeah, I don't think I was numb. I think it was the opposite. I think I was numb leading up to that, where I wasn't actually listening to my body because I didn't feel sick.
Right.
And so with the stillness, I think that's when I felt how much water I'd been carrying, how swollen I was. Like I thought I'd just put on weight. It wasn't. I was carrying around like 30 pounds of water. Yeah. I didn't realize, right? Like I'm thinking I need to do more cardio, but I wasn't listening to my body. So then I felt everything. And that's where I think the difference was. I just felt all of it at once. And then one day I'm scrolling on Facebook, same day that I called National Kidney Foundation, and I saw One Medical, because I thought to myself, why did I not go to the doctor? Because they asked me, have you felt tired? And I'm like, yeah, but doesn't everybody like?
Yeah. It's just the crazy busy life schedule and lifestyle and right.
Like, doesn't everyone feel tired? I'm always tired. Who isn't?
Tired and stressed and hungry.
Yes, exactly. And the doctor was like, that's not normal. I'm like, it's not? How much are you sleeping? I'm like, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours. He's like, that's not normal. And I'm like, what? So it was all these things that I discovered that I thought was just burnout, work too much.
Lifestyle and stress. And
he said, does your back hurt? I'm like, all the time. I sit in front of a computer. What are you talking about? Like all these things. And I realized that I hadn't gone to the doctor because I didn't like my doctor's office. I just didn't like the smell, didn't like the look. I didn't like being there. It was very doctory.
Yeah, clinical and right.
And so then up pops an ad for One Medical. And I thought, oh, this is so me. They have valet. I'm in.
That's it.
So they've got, lemon water in the weight room. This is totally me. And so
when we were kids, they had lollipops.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went, and I remember distinctly, I thought, oh, here we go. The doctor's going to give me a guilt trip of not taking care of myself. And she said, you're clearly someone that has taken care of a lot of people, Now it's time for
For you.
me to take over. I'm going to get a SWAT team around you and we're going to get you taken care of. And I thought, wow, like, how lucky am I
Mhm.
that I just found this doctor on Facebook?
The caretaker is now gonna be cared for.
And she was hardcore. She was like, we're going to get all these specialists. If you call them, I've already done the referrals. If someone doesn't call you back today, you call me. And if they're saying they can't see you for a month, you give me a call. I'm going to get you in today or Monday. It was a Friday afternoon. And by Monday, we had a game plan. And
Mm.
that's when I knew these are the kinds of doctors that I want to be around. This is the level that I want to be interacting with. And this is how I'm going to get through it.
Now your heart was also involved in this, dilemma as well. One thing, you feel is getting taken care of, and then other things develop, which again, like we were saying earlier, sometimes everything can happen at the same time. Tell us about how that was also discovered as well. It's like a
Yeah.
double whammy a little bit.
Well, so once my donor got approved, we were celebrating 6 weeks away from surgery, two more tests to do. The first one was the kidney, and they called and said, hey, we have a cyst, and there's 70% chance it's cancerous. And I was like, the same kidney you've been looking at for 5 years. Now, all of a sudden, when she's approved, there's a problem.
Mhm.
So I was absolutely devastated. And this was at the end of August 2020. I was absolutely devastated because it had been 5 years and I was like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm so close. I'm like in the last 2 miles of the marathon. Like
Yeah,
we're right there.
right.
And so then I paused. I grounded myself for 2 days. And again, it was a Friday. And I remember I get in the car and I'm just just threw on a sundress and thought, I'm going to go to Starbucks. I'm just putting all of this away for just a couple of hours. I'm just going to pretend life is normal. Going to Starbucks. I'm going to get my green tea and then we'll pick up in a couple of hours.
Mm.
I get to the Starbucks drive through, the phone rings, and it's my doctor. His name is Dr. Gift at Cedars. I say his name loudly and proudly because he is the reason I am alive.
Did you say
He said
gift or gift?
gift.
Gift.
Gift and is a gift.
Kinda like a gift, right?
He really is. He's been a cardiologist for 20 years and his father was a cardiologist for 40 years. He's a cardiologist for 40 years at Cedars. And so he'd been checking me regularly just to make sure that everything was fine. And it was. And then he says to me, where are you? And I said, I'm in Starbucks. I've put everything away for a couple hours. So, like, what is it? And he says, I need you to come to my office right now. I'll wait for you. You just drive over. And I said, Dr. Gaft, I've got to tell you, I can't take one more thing. Like, I literally can't take one more thing. And he says, I totally understand. Your heart is at 15%. Nothing for you to freak out about, but I need you to just drive to my office right now. And he said,
15%.
yeah. And I thought, how? I'm at Starbucks. Like, for me, 15% was
You
like,
would be stretched out on a floor.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, like, there's no way I'm at Starbucks.
15%, yeah.
How? I'm driving. I'm fine. And so he said, don't freak out. Just come over here. I'm waiting for you. And I said, okay, fine. So I drove over. And on the way up, I thought, it's not meant to be. Here are all the signs with the amount of synchronicities that I've had that have gotten me to this point.
Yeah.
This is telling me I'm meant to die. Like, I'm not meant to live this. Because how does all this happen the minute she's approved? We've been
Yeah.
waiting for so long.
It's like
Like,
a
I'm not
gift
meant
that was
to live
taken
this.
away, right.
Yeah. And I genuinely thought, I'm not meant to survive this. Like, this is like one thing after another. It's like the roadblocks are too many and they're too severe. Who
Mhm.
survives this? And I thought, I'm in Final Destination, the movie. You know, if it's not the garbage disposal, it's the car accident, or if it's not the car accident, it's the tree falling on a person, or whatever it is, right? Like, it felt like that. And I thought to myself, this is it. And I really genuinely thought, I don't know how a person makes it through. And that day, Dr. Geff said to me, look, when I first met you, I knew that you were meant for big things. And I knew that my job was to keep you alive so that you can do the things that you are supposed to do in the world. And that's what we're going to do. He said, I have a game plan. And when I text you and say, go here, go there, do this, do that, you do exactly as I say. And in the meantime, you live your life. I've got a game plan, and I'm going to put the pieces together, and we're going to do the next logical thing. And that's it.
So he was very steadfast and steady, and he was a calming force for you. And he'd been around the block, many times and dealing with situations like this. So he wanted to instill some confidence and hope and belief in you because, I'm a big believer too that mindset
Huge.
during illness is huge, and stress is also a trigger for cancer and heart and so many other things. But mindset when you're ill, if you retreat, if you give in, if you give up, if you just stop participating in life, your body will start to get those signals and say, okay, well, then he or she has decided this is it. So we're now going to start the process of making sure this is it. Where if it's the other way around and you're really meeting things head on and you're staying connected and you're staying, hopeful and inspired and doing all the things you need to do and trying to be healthy, that your body, your mind and your body and spirit absorb that information, that data as well, and respond accordingly.
Yes, exactly. I really believe that. Um, I really genuinely believe that. And that was a prime example of what we saw, because that's when I'd come home and I had a surgical procedure first to get my heart strengthened. It didn't work. And so then they said, it's strong enough for us to get your kidney out, but it's high risk. And I knew what that meant, and that was enough. And Dr. Geft and I had a really great communication where he would say enough for me to know exactly what was happening, but it wouldn't be to the point where it would sink into my spirit. So he'd give me the facts, and then we'd go, okay, letting that go, what do we have to focus on? And so it was that procedure, and then it was the kidney removal. And in between, my best friend Rachel, she just got so inspired about us making a Christmas movie. She loves Hallmark. She starts watching Hallmark in September if she even
We
stops.
have a big Hallmark fan base here on the show. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, she's right along there with you.
She's
Oh,
watching all those Christmas movies and all.
loves
My
it.
mom is there too. Yeah.
Ah,
And they run them after the new year still a little bit and still watching them. Yes.
yes, she's completely into it. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is how it's going to happen. It's going to be a Christmas miracle. We're making a movie. And I thought, well, my movie's Final Destination. That movie doesn't have a happy ending. Hers sounds way better.
I know.
I'm going to go into her movie.
Gonna go with her. Several of my friends are actors and actresses in a lot of the Hallmark movies as well, and
Yes.
they're definitely feel-good movies. Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
And because my kidneys failed on Christmas Eve,
Yeah,
he was like, this is perfect timing. Like, it has to happen like this.
meant to be in that way, right?
Mhm. So I called Dr. Geft and I said, listen, we're making a movie. It's a Christmas movie. So this has to happen at Christmas. And he's like,
Yeah,
well, it's not really how it works. But
yeah,
if anyone can do it, you can.
right, exactly. And
And
they'd film
so,
it in like July, June, July, and August. 6 months, 7 months in advance, and then it would air then in December. Yeah. Or a
Yes,
year before.
right. And he was like, so if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. He jumped on board. Throughout the process, we were having fun while going through a really tough experience, because every time it got hard, we would cast somebody, or we'd say, okay, who's going to play this doctor, or who's going to play this nurse, or who's going to play you? And, like we would put the pieces together.
Together.
And that really gave a different context.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last test that I needed to do was December 22nd. And I went up to Cedars. The hospital was packed. LA had 1 in 3 people had COVID. So Cedars-Sinai has 1,000 beds. It was jam packed.
It's probably even higher right now. Yeah.
Yes, it was jam packed at that point. And no visitors, everyone masked up. You couldn't go in there unless you absolutely had to. Emergency room was completely packed with people outside waiting. It was a nightmare. And at the end of it, he said there's 2 levels that we can list you at a level 5, depending on where your numbers are. If you're a level 5, then you go home and you wait for a few months. And if you're a level 4, you wait for 6 to 8 weeks, but you're admitted into hospital. And he said, you're right in between. And I was feeling particularly sick that day. I was then really starting to feel it. I'd had a couple of friends come and sleep over because I was feeling really weak. And so I just felt like I was scared to kind of be by myself at that point. I could really feel my body was starting to feel really weak. And I said, I really feel like I need to be here. And he said, I do too. Your numbers, they're not looking great. I just would feel a lot more comfortable if you were here. Like there's a couple things I want to check. There's a couple more tests I want to do. It's just, there's a feeling here that is just not feeling right for you to be at home. I think I want to admit you. So he admitted me. And he said, but we're not going to, we still need to do a couple of tests before putting you on the list. So it's not going to be Christmas, but you're here and I can see you every day. I can check on you, like you're here. This is where we need you to be. So I said, okay. And I said, it is going to be Christmas. Nobody's going to want to watch a Hallmark movie that really happened in February. Like that's not legit. I can't do that. So it has to be Christmas. And he's like, well, let's keep praying, but it's probably not going to be. It's probably going to be February. And then he put me on the list on December 24th. And he said, now we pray. We've done everything we can. The nurses, obviously, doctor's going to check on you all through this period. Probably going to be end of January, February. But you're here and we're all set. So I posted on Facebook and reached out and I said, prayer warriors, all of my friends, here I am. Let me know. Let me know if you let me know if you know of anyone. I mean, this is a weird thing to ask, but let me know how you feel about it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if anyone knows anyone that is passing. They can nominate their organs to me. Reach out, pray for me. I'm here by myself, really, was the message. And Christmas Day, 10:30 p.m., the phone rings and they say, we have a heart and a kidney for you. And it was an absolute miracle. Thousands of people were praying. I got messages from everywhere. It was like the world just needed a miracle. We'd had such a tough year with the pandemic. It was like we all just really needed a miracle.
Yeah.
And
do you believe there was divine intervention in any of this?
100%. The chaplain from Cedars came to pray with me on Christmas Eve. My aunt is a Catholic nun, and she was praying in her chapel with me. I wasn't particularly religious or faithful or anything at that point, except for if I die, I need to be right with God, was all I had thought. And that was the extent of what I had planned for, essentially, was really just that. Was like, let me get myself ready in case I die, because there's a good chance. And that's when I started to question, like, is there a God? I hope so, because I've done everything humanly possible, and now I'm like in the hands of the greater creator, and I just have to believe. I didn't have anything else. I really literally didn't have anything else. And so when it happened, it was the nurses celebrating. Like, all of us were like, oh my God, it actually happened. Like, we did it. It's unbelievable. Like, it actually happened. The doctors came in celebrating. Dr. Geft, the anesthesiology doctor from September, my procedure, he remembered me. We'd had a whole conversation about emotion and physical being connected. And he was like, Shana, oh my God, it's you. I couldn't believe it. I saw your name. It's so exciting. It's going to be great. Like, he was more excited than I was.
Mm-hmm.
The surgeon came in and said, oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm ready. Are you ready? I was like, don't worry about me. Are you ready?
Are
Did you have
you ready?
breakfast?
Yeah,
You
make
know,
sure.
I
Yeah.
was sleep.
Did
Like,
you get
oh,
enough
listen.
sleep? And yeah. Are you in a good mood today?
Right. Did you fight with your wife? Like, don't worry
Right.
about me.
You
Like, how
didn't
are
argue
you?
with the kids, right? You're good, right? Yeah,
Totally. I'm
exactly.
asleep, so it's more important about you.
Right. That's how
Um,
I would be too. Doc, are you okay? I mean, I'm good. I'm here. I'm going to be laying on the table. But what about
right,
you? You don't have any nervous trembling, right?
exactly. Show me your hands.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's Dr. Ismailian has done over 5,000 heart procedures in his 30-year career at Cedars. So I was in good hands. And as we're standing there talking and celebrating, I flatlined. And
Now, was that from the over exuberance of the joy of everything, or there was a physical thing that was happening inside?
I think it was a physical thing, because I felt good. I felt fine. Um,
That must have completely shocked him. Did he ever tell you what that was like for him? He's
yes,
talking, you guys are celebrating, and then in front of him, boom.
yes, he did. Um, he said to me that in 30 years of surgery, he'd never seen anything like it. In all of his time in doing heart surgeries and heart transplants, he probably does 30 or 40 a year. Never seen anything like it. And I flatlined for 2 minutes, which is, as you can imagine, a huge deal. I had a whole conversation with God and Jesus. I remembered the 3 phases of dying in my own experience to a T. And when I sat back up, I looked at them and said, guys, relax. I just took a little nap. I'm fine.
Mm.
And all you could see was like eyeballs out of a mask, dead silence. And he said, take her to the OR right now. And everything started to move, lights flashing, beds running, doctors, nurses. Dr. Geft was running behind saying, stay with me. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm right here. And it was like a flash of just people running.
Suddenly they had to react immediately, right? It
Yes.
was a left field loop that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, Jim, I just realized real life, my laptop is dying. I'm just going to grab my charger with you.
Oh, that happens multiple times on our
Sorry
show.
about that.
So now we get a chance to see your beautiful home.
Ah, I know. Like, beautiful or messy, it's one or the other. So I'll just plug it in.
Very
Sorry.
nice. The
Uh,
the photo that's behind you, they've been
yes.
commenting on that. Is that a painting, a print?
Yeah, it's actually a painting. I'll move out of the way so you can see it. It's a painting from Bali. And it was actually the trip I took right before my kidneys failed. And it was made by a local artist. And it has multiple textures. And I'd gone through the healing waters of Bali 2 weeks before my kidneys failed in December 2015. So it's a really special painting that I feel like watches over me and has been with me throughout the time frame in which I've been going through it.
See, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that until a couple months ago when someone else asked, and I thought, oh, actually,
There's a
it was
purpose.
from that truth.
It's not
Yeah,
just a wall hanging, but there's a purpose.
exactly.
Yeah. So you actually did the healing waters and all too. Do you think that that also helped?
I believe so. I really do. I feel like that brought to the surface the healing that I was meant to go through. Because when I think about it, I mean, flatlining
Mm,
and experiencing standing in front of God and Jesus, I would never have said that would ever have been a part of my journey. It My grandmother likes to say that I had the devil in me because I couldn't even sit in church as a kid. My family's very Catholic. I refused to go to Sunday school. I didn't do my communion. I didn't do any of that. Wasn't interested, didn't want to, was not into it at all. And of all of the unlikely candidates in which that experience would happen, it just would be, I would be the most
mm,
unlikely. And so it really, the healing that has come from that particular moment where it felt like if you took all of the compassion in the entire world and times it by 10,000, I couldn't describe the feeling of just standing there, the familiarity, the knowing of it, and the washed over with compassion is something that I will never ever forget.
mm.
Um, it really, and that it has to, right? There just can't be any coincidences in life that would get me to that point. Even just, I mean, if he had sent me home on the 22nd, I would have died on my couch.
Yeah.
If, Rachel hadn't been inspired by let's make a Christmas movie, I might have waited until January before dealing with all of it. You know what I mean? And just said, let me just write out the holidays and just do this thing later. Like, who wants to do this on New Year's? Nobody,
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I really believe that all of those moments really took me to exactly the way this was meant to pan out.
It's extraordinary. What have you learned from all of this, and how are you today?
Yeah, I would say what I've learned is there is a true partnership. I'd say I've learned partnership on a whole different level. There's a true partnership in which I like to describe it from my own experience as God, your higher power, the universe, the creator, whatever that is for you, the synchronicities in life, that there's a partnership where my role is to do everything humanly possible, to listen to the messages, to be tapped into where I notice the small subtleties in things and I take those actions. And then there's a point at which I reach where I've done everything humanly possible, where I surrender to the higher power. In my case, it is God, allowing Him to do what He does and allowing the outcome to be what it is and really having that acceptance. I definitely have learned partnership there. I've learned partnership with doctors and the medical field and my friends and my family on a whole different level in being able to ask for what I need.
Hmm.
Like saying to a doctor, I don't want to hear averages, stats, other patient experiences. I don't need to hear any of that. If it doesn't have to do with my particular lab work and a game plan that we have for this particular vehicle called my body, not
Hmm.
interested. I don't want to just take the medicine that everyone takes because it tends to work on everybody. Like, no, we're going to test if it works for me. And, that's a different partnership. And even as a person, of saying, hey, we're making a Christmas movie. Like, who tells their doctor that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little bit of a freeze frame there. Did the battery conk out there for you, Shana? It's a nice image. Sometimes that happens when you're live. She's in deep thought. She'll be back. She's probably scrambling right now. But you guys have been saying through your fabulous comments, we'll take a look at some of those while she gets that together. Wow, Shana, you're truly a living miracle. God has some big plans for you, and you're telling your story is so important, and I'm sure gives hope to so many potential transplant patients. I agree. Beautifully said, Maureen. Having worked, in the medical field as you have, for so long and just retiring from it, she really is a living miracle. That there is hope, if you believe and you don't give up. And we talked a little bit about the fact that resilience came early on for her. She's all set up. There you are. You
Hello,
did a
I'm
quick
so
switch to the
sorry about
phone,
that.
right? No, that's fine. That's fine. I just said because you froze in a deep thought position. I said she's in deep thought right now.
Ah,
And I was just reading some of the aloud our Lovities, the Jim Master Show Lovity audience from around the world commenting. Kathleen Walker in New York City says inspiring story. Sherry Larson. These are some of our regulars who are always with us on all of our shows live and
awesome.
love to comment. Prayer is powerful. Sherry Larson in Kansas. Linda Odell in Florida. Wow, such a heartfelt story. Truly amazing. God bless you, Shana.
Thank you.
Terry Ann says, I absolutely love prayer warriors. And Maureen, who just retired in Arizona for many years in the healthcare industry as a nurse, says, wow, Shana, you are truly a living miracle. God has some big plans for you. And you telling your story is so inspirational, and I'm sure gives hope to so many potential transplant patients. I agree 100%. And
Thank you.
Terry Ann says, wow, Shana, you are an inspiration. And Linda in Florida, loving that you're sharing your miracle story with us as well. And Ramiro Tejada is with us as well. He's a wonderful crooner. He was a guest on our show, watching right now live from Argentina in
Oh,
South
beautiful.
America. Yeah, and beautiful Argentina. Good to see you, Ramiro. And we'll have to have you back on as well. He goes, hi, Jim and Shauna. God bless you. Prayer is powerful. And that's right, from Argentina. And Sherry Larson says, thank you for being here and sharing your story with us. So glad you are where you are spiritually and physically. An inspiration, blessings to you in the future as well. Thank you very much, Sherry. You were starting to mention a little bit about some of the things that you learned along the way, some of those lessons, teachable moments through it all, and how you're feeling and how you're doing today. Because all of this is relatively recent. You're talking 2020 and into 2021, and it's all recent stuff. And so, how are you doing? And what are some things you learned along the way?
Yeah, for sure. So, the biggest lesson I learned was partnership. Um, I'm not sure where I froze, but I was really talking about partnership with my family, friends, doctors, and circle of trust, if you will. Um, really understanding how to ask for what I need, how to hear what they need, and how to partner on a deeper level, like humans to humans, no matter what role we're playing inside of a particular context. So for me, it was organ transplant. Um, and then partnership with my higher power, in that there's a partnership in I have a responsibility to do everything that's humanly possible, and then allowing for my higher power. In my instance, it's God, but it might be, universe, Buddha, whatever that is for you, creator, etc. That there is a partnership where I do everything humanly possible. I listen to the signs. I follow those signs. Sometimes they don't make sense. Sometimes I'm terrified, but I do listen instinctually to what I think that God is saying to me. And then there's a point at which I surrender, and my higher power kicks in the miracle, because that's the stuff that I can't do. Like, I didn't know how to get an organ on Christmas, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not my part, but I did
Yeah.
my part in doing all my tests and not stopping until I found the clearances and the appointments, and like making sure that all those things were on point. And then the last
Absolutely.
one is really the partnership with myself. And I really got that I serve my body such that it allows me to serve. And that was a huge, 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 tough, humbling lesson to learn, that I will say up until I was 35, that was not how I lived. My body did what I wanted it to do. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I've got a meeting. I'll eat when I'm done with the meeting. I'm thirsty, but I can take 2 extra phone calls and then go and tend to myself. And it's just not how I live anymore. That's completely flipped to where I serve my body such that it allows me to do what I want to do. Um, and the fourth one, all of the listeners really spoke to it. Prayer works,
Mhm.
collective prayer works. And life is not intended to live on your own. It really is intended to be in community. There were thousands of people involved with me being here today. And so, you ask how I am today. Physically, I'm good. There's still some healing to do with my kidney. And, it takes some time for everything to integrate and kind of come together, if you will. Um, but it's all moving in the right direction. And the the part that I think is um, has been the hardest is really around, now what? I feel like I'm in a little bit of a twilight zone sometimes, where I still am with my, normal day to day life. And on the other hand, my donor was a 29-year-old woman who died on Christmas Day. So I
Mm.
feel a lot of accountability and a lot of responsibility to her, because, no doubt she wishes she had another day, another week, another month. And, thank God for her ticking a box at the DMV
Mm.
that here I am. And so that really is sort of, it stays with me. And some days it's empowering, and other days it's really hard. Um, some days being a miracle is a real blessing, and then other days being a miracle comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility. So I'm learning how to balance the two emotionally, which is something that I didn't expect.
How does sharing your story with us today on the Jim Masters Show live, and sharing it in the ways that you do, add to the healing process, add to that cathartic, therapeutic way of dealing with it further and inspiring others and empowering others? There might be folks watching live right now, or who will watch this in the replay archives on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, who really
Yeah.
need to hear this message. They need to hear what you're saying. And it might not be that it's an organ transplant situation, but it really could be anything that's going on in their life: mind, body, spirit, relationships, anything happening. And maybe they're watching right now and they're not feeling too good. We always try, through all of our levity and everything that we do, and the entertainment and everything, and all these poignant conversations and everything we do on the series, to find the silver linings, to find the positive connection and healing as much as we can, through laughter, through music, through nostalgia, through all the things we do. And in this case, there might be folks watching right now who are not feeling so hot tonight. What would you say to them as far as some of the things that you learned and how it's inspired you enough to want to share your story with us here on the show, which we are honored by and really appreciate.
Yeah, I would say what I learned was that's part of being human. The ups and the downs, it's like allow that. It's part of being a human being. I think sometimes we strive so hard to be perfect or to be positive and happy all the time or to be very spiritual. And it's like if I was going to be very spiritual, I would be a spirit, but I'm not. I'm a human being that lives here on earth that comes along with a bunch of emotions and a ton of feelings and a ton of experiences. And so the first thing I really learned, which takes me a lot of effort and practice, is allowing for those bad days and allowing myself feel them, but not staying there, knowing that I can be there for 3, 4 days, 5 days. I can decide I'm going to be in bed for 3 days and, you know, do that. And when I do it really well. I fully commit to I'm going to be a sad sack for 3 days, completely and fully. And I totally commit to it. I do the sad movies and all of it. I will bawl all day and I have no idea why, and I allow myself to. And then the next day, I might wake up and say, okay, I think I've had enough of that. Let me pick something else. And it's really has to do with the circumstances in that respect. I've been able to find joy and laughter inside of some of the most weirdest times that are inappropriate to laugh, as one
Mhm.
would say, but that we have found joy inside of that.
Yeah.
And that has come from being around people that really allow me to be human. And that's the second part. It's not me by myself. I'm supported by a lot of different people who I can reach out to and just say, today really sucks. Like, I hate it today. And they go, yeah, me too. And we can commiserate a little bit and then we get over it. And I think it's really important. Sometimes we feel like this barrier between us and others, that we have to keep it private, or we're the only ones going through something. And to your point, it doesn't matter what it is. The feelings might all be the same, and they're all relative to what your experiences are. Mine happen to be life or death, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't experience the same feelings for a different topic. And just recognizing that that's part of us being human, and that nobody wants another perfect leader in the world that doesn't have a problem and is always put together. We don't need that. We have the internet to see perfect people. We don't need it. Like, we really need people who are real and can say, yeah, I go through these dark days, even though I can tell you that I was standing in the hallway and I saw the light. I still go through those days. It's still hard. So I think it's important to kind of acknowledge and accept.
Yeah. That's beautifully said. I mean, that's beautifully said. And I think resonates with a lot of people who are watching right now. And again, it doesn't matter what it is that they're experiencing. Um, there's teachable moments all the time, and there's ways to try to at least make lemonade out of those lemons, because as we say often, life is unpredictable, life is precious. I think this pandemic we've all experienced, which has been absolutely out of left field,
Yes.
extraordinary, like a movie. Every day is like a movie. Whoever thought we'd be walking around in our daily lives with, masks on, not just the personality masks we tend to all wear, but physical one. Who could have ever dreamed of any of the things that we've had to do to get through? Um, and this has brought on a lot, of reflective thinking and rebooting and refreshing and taking a look at our lives and next chapter and what do we want to do with our lives going further, and how are we going to inspire others and be inspired and tap into maybe aspects of our lives that we haven't been able to tap into because, like you said, we've been so busy. We've been so on the go and rushing and doing. And, that sometimes we do have to pause. This has been the great pause during this pandemic in many, many ways to soak up like what you've shared with us today from your own personal experience, where it was really front line, flat line in many different ways. And you've bounced out of it. You're resilient. You have always revered life, but probably it's now even at levels you never even thought of as far as how precious it really is and how short it can be and how we should respect and love one another and be kind and empathetic to one another and support one another and reach out whenever we can and ask for help.
Yes.
Raise your hand. I've had to learn that too. Raise your hand when you need help. Doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you vulnerable. It makes you smart because one of the best investments you can make is in yourself, right?
Yeah. And it allows you to give an opportunity for others to feel useful in a time where we may not, because, leaving the house is dangerous kind of feeling. So yeah, I think it's really important. And the biggest thing is we're just not meant to live life alone. Community, I think, makes a huge difference, and finding ways to connect with each other when being in person isn't as easy as it was, um, I think is absolutely critical.
Absolutely. We have we showed some of these, sprinkled these in during the conversation. We have this one here. Tell us about what was the setting and what was happening there in that shot, Shauna.
Yeah, that was December 30th. So it was 3 days after surgery, and it was the first time that I had gotten up and taken a walk.
Mm,
And it was with two IV stands, which they call a Christmas tree because there was so many things attached. And I had a whole gang of tubes, as you can see, and
mm,
monitors. Um, and that day, my mantra was pain means I'm alive. And that's what had me be able to take the amount of steps I take. I think I did a 10-minute walk that day. And with every step, it was pain. Pain means I'm alive, and pain means something is healing. My nerves are working, my skin is fusing, the staples are working because I can feel them. So they're doing what they're supposed to do, and I can feel all of it, which means I'm alive and my body is healing. And so that's what we created as we took that first walk. And the nurse said we were all celebrating. And so she was like, let's take a picture of you as you come in. And that was the
mm.
first walk.
And this photo here too. This is
Yes.
after the surgery.
Yes. So
That's the surgical scar
this
there.
was in September. So that would have been at 9 months. And you can see my scar there. I learned that it's called a zipper for those that have had
Yeah.
a heart
Now this is
surgery.
2021 or 2020.
That was 2021.
This is just a matter of months ago.
Yes.
This photo, and here you are.
Yeah, and it was I hadn't been in the ocean for 6 years.
Hmm.
And so that was my first time in the ocean for 6 years. I decided we went to Hawaii,
Yeah.
and I was able to get in the water there, and that was right after
There's nothing
that
like
on
the
a
ocean.
beach day.
Yeah. There's some life-giving force and power. The ocean is one of my go-to places. There's just something about
Same.
it's very, very zen for me. I'm always swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, always in it. Need to be near it. We live we're not, we're right here. Grew up near it and by it here on the East Coast,
Oh yeah.
Northeast, and just love it as well. That's a beautiful shot. We have some other beautiful shots too. There you are at the ocean,
Yeah, exactly the same
smiling,
day.
happy, you know. That's a fantastic shot. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
You look so joyful.
Yeah, I mean, it was just being by the beach and not having a tube to worry about, and not
Yes.
having the be careful of, anything really. Other Obviously, I'm a bit more fragile than I used to be, but just being able to get in the water and get out and only have to worry about being in the sun or in the shade is the major
Yeah.
decision was a good
Was the
one.
sun setting then?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. The sun was setting, but it wasn't setting on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you weren't.
And my friend Michelle was beautiful enough to take the pictures. I called her and said, "Do you know a photographer in Hawaii?" And she goes, "Well, I could do it." And I thought, "Oh." And so, like I say, it's been a real community of people that have just come together, and, contributed along the way, prayers and thoughts and
Yes.
things like this, where we hung out and she was kind enough to take photos, and just all different contributions.
I think we're kindred spirits as far as how we think about life and how we think about the ocean, with that glow of the sun on you and your smile and the sunset, and even the way you're positioned where the ocean is to the left of you. Um, I think we're kindred spirits in so many ways with that.
It's
Case in point.
awesome. Oh, wow.
There you go.
Yes. Very
The ocean is to the
similar.
left. It's sunset, smiling,
Wow.
happy, and content. I show this usually at the end of the show, and I tell people to find their Zen place. That's the Atlantic Ocean here in the Northeast. But
Fabulous. We are.
just really interesting, the smile and the angle and looking towards the sun in that way. It's a beautiful, beautiful shot. So is this
Thank
one
you.
too.
Halloween. I
Halloween.
was struggling for a costume and I thought, wait, I have a built in one.
You have a do it yourself. Exactly. There's another great shot too.
Thank you. This was just from a couple of days ago. One
This
of
is just
the
a couple of days ago.
symptoms was my hair had thinned out. And so one of my friends had just braided me up. That was before.
That's the before.
Yeah.
Beautiful
And
smile,
so
very authentic, real, happy,
thank you.
very much so.
So yeah, it's just it's a journey.
It is. It really, really is. And we wish you nothing but continued blessings and joy in your life, the best of health, of course, and continue, sharing your journey because it does inspire others. It's certainly inspired us and our viewership that's watching around the world right now. They've been commenting throughout. We've been showing some of their comments as well, our lovely audience. Maureen, now the retired nurse in Arizona. Shana, those scars are badges of honor for a battle well fought. Wear them proudly.
Thank you.
I think that's beautiful. And Linda Odell in Florida said earlier, another great show tonight. Thank you, Jim. I needed this show tonight. Just makes me believe in the power of prayer even more. You're the best, Jim. Thank you very much, Linda. I appreciate that. Kathleen Walker in New York City. Thank you, Shana, for sharing your inspiring story with us, and bless you. Very, very beautiful. And Jane, who's watching live in Sweden, one of our
Oh,
JMS
wow.
Lovinies. Yeah, she's always here. Thank you for telling us your story, Shana. Very interesting. Gives us more things or some things to think about. Thanks, Jen, for this great show. You are very, very welcome. Linda mentioning she believes in the power of prayer, and she is in St. Augustine, Florida as well. And all these great comments coming in here. Sherry Larson, thank you, Shana, for being here and sharing your story with us. So glad you are where you are spiritually, physically. You're an inspiration. Blessings to you in the future as well. Really, really wonderful. And I appreciate your sharing your story. And we'll definitely have you back. And as we say, keep the porch light on for you as well. And
Thank
any
you.
last words about our conversation, about the show, or about anything that you'd like to share with us, Shana, before we go?
Um, Thank you. It has been an absolute honor to be here with you and with all of the people listening. I think my last words are be an organ donor. It saves real lives. I mean, I'm here because someone ticked a box at the DMV, and that's it. It really,
Yes.
it's that simple, selfless act can save a real life, and that is really the only reason I'm here.
And again, you're an organ transplant thriver, and that makes all the difference in the world. Um, I think your fortitude, your resilience, your can-do attitude, your heart and your soul, and the support of others, including the talented team of physicians, family, loved ones, friends, all came together and saying, it's not time for her yet, too. She has much more to say, much more to give, much more to do. And through all of this, there are gifts within because you're able to inspire others or able to empower others, which could potentially lead through your message and your story, which you so graciously shared with us here on the show, lead to others who are hopeful and other survivors and thrivers as well, other lives saved and thriving as a result of the message, and others saying, look, here's the result of organ donations that happen. This wonderful, spirited, beautiful person, Shana, is here with her story. So this really was beautiful and inspiring. And Maureen in Arizona, may God continue to bless you with good health. Shana, thank you so much, very much, for being brave and sharing your journey with us. I
Thank you.
concur. This really was beautiful and uplifting. And thanks for being so open and so authentic with us. Again, kindred spirits in so many ways. We think about the
Yes.
world, kindness and empathy and all of that. There's no reason why there shouldn't be kindness and empathy. Kindness and empathy are not signs of weakness. Some people think if you're kind, you're weak. If you're empathetic, oh, you're mush mush. I think the folks who express kindness and empathy are some of the strongest people in the world because they're usually carrying the world's load. They're carrying the world's problems and issues that other people have by being kind and empathetic. They're understanding. They're not only dealing with their own lives, but they're also sort of taking on and absorbing some of the, through their empathy and emotional intelligence, the concerns and needs of others. And I think that takes strong people. So whenever you hear anybody say, oh, kind, good-hearted people, empathetic people, I don't have time for that. That's foo-foo. Go ahead. Okay, go over in that corner. We warned you. I think it's a sign of strength and also character.
Yeah.
Really, really character and strengths. And you've got those in a multitude of spades, my friend. Thanks for joining us tonight, and I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, Shana, and that you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, and our lovely viewers have with you as well.
Thank you. Yes, and some. And, the only expectation I had was that we were going to have an amazing time and have an amazing conversation. You absolutely fulfilled on that and some. Thank you.
And
Thank you
our
for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And our beautiful friend, Melissa Braverman, who just got
Yes.
married. Congratulations to
I
her.
know. A
Happy,
big
happy. She moved
congrats.
from New York to Florida. She was a guest on our show as well and enjoyed it. And she recommended we connect, and we love her for that. And she is spectacular,
She really is.
good stock as well. And you take care, okay? You keep that smile that you've got, that $1 million smile, and keep spreading the sunshine around the world. You've got a beautiful heart, and you're touching lives and impacting them greatly. Shana, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jim. So appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone.
You are very welcome. Take care and be well, my friend.
You too.
Ciao. Isn't that amazing? What a story. Again, as we say here on the Jim Master Show Live, every show is something different. Every episode is something different. And whether we have fun, comedic episodes, entertaining episodes, or we talk about food or whatever, have celebrity friends and guests in, there's always something we learn and always something that inspires us. And I think that's really cool because the world needs that. And there isn't a lot of that out there. So, hey, this show really comes together in so many different ways through not only the format, but what it is we're talking about, these poignant moments, these deep conversations thrown in with the levity and frivolity and the entertainment, all the fun stuff that we do here on the show, This was really, really special. And we really, really thank Shana for joining us and opening up and sharing her story. Not a lot of people do that. And again, leader, visionary. I really think she is a visionary, even though she's humble about it. She really, really is. I love her vision. Faith advocate and organ transplant thriver. And that's the key word, thriver. She's amazing. We thank you for joining us as well. This is your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. Want to let you know tomorrow we've got an extraordinary guest as well. Lee Wilkoff is joining us live from New York, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Tony nominated, as well as Obie and Drama Desk nominated actor, director, writer. You've seen him on a multitude of television shows. Yes, Ally McBeal, Heart to Heart, Matlock, on and on and on. Extraordinary movies, Broadway actor, award-winning Broadway actor, and so much more. He's a veteran of Broadway. And he is with us tomorrow exclusively here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Again, we thank Shana for joining us and gracing us with her presence today here on the show. Gang, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this and you enjoy our channel and everything we do. It really does help us when you don't just watch, but you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you show it some lovity. Click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. And again, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up like on our YouTube channel and leave a comment underneath the episode, this video on the YouTube channel, which is the channel you're watching right now. We would really appreciate that. And that helps us grow. We want to grow our show continually. We've had always continued growth with lots of new viewers and lots of new people who are being inspired and entertained and just everything we do here through the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. So subscribe, click the notification bell, give us a thumbs up like, leave a comment. That all helps us big time grow our base and also reach more people. You already know what it's about if you're watching for a long time. For those of you who just joined us for the first time, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live experience. It's really cool to have you here. You're now a JMS Lovity as well. We really appreciate that. Kathleen Walker in New York City, thank you very much. That's our super chat and super emojis, super stickers, which is available to everybody watching when the show is live. That helps support all the hard work we do behind the scenes and all these extensive shows here and all the hours put in on air and behind the scenes. Thank you, Kathleen. We thank you very much. Amazing show. Shana is wonderful. Thank you, Jim. The pleasure is all mine, Kathleen. And thank you so very much for your support. Jane says, I say yes to organ donations. So would many more people. Good night and hugs. Thank you, Kathleen, as well. And Jane, thank you as well. Maureen in Arizona. This has been such an inspiring conversation. Perfect. That's exactly what we hoped it would be. Thank you, Jim. Sending love and tight hugs, JMS hugs to you and my lovely family. That's the JMS tight hugs. And sweet be your dreams, Maureen says from Arizona. Again, if you needed a pick-me-up, this show certainly tonight or today or this morning, whenever you're watching this show, for those watching in the replay, certainly did the trick. Thank you so much for joining us, gang. We love all of you. I'm your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we'll be here tomorrow. And again, if you are not watching this live, you're watching it in the replay, stay right here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Another terrific episode of our series comes up for you. There's over 600 you can binge watch. I can't believe I've done that amount of talking since we launched our series in May of 2020. the late April, early May of 2020, and we've done over 600 episodes and counting. It's amazing. Sometimes I binge watch some of the earlier episodes where I'm saying, this is our 5th episode. This is our 10th. Here's our 100th episode. And now we're talking about some 600 at the time of the show. Really, really cool stuff, gang. Be well, okay? Take care of one another. Love one another. As we always do say here on the show, a little bit of a ritual at the end. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to share the JMS Lovity. Find your Zen place, which you guys know from me, loving family and friends is first, and then the good old ocean. And it is the same for our guest, the same for Shana. The ocean is a Zen place for her as well. And of course, as we say, another Zen place for me is my professional work, not just this fabulous show we do, but my professional work in television, radio, stage, and film professionally all these years is a Zen place for me. Help us grow, share the levity, tell everybody you know about our show, the Jim Masters Show Live on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We would absolutely love you for that, going the extra mile to spread the word about our show. All right, we're going to take off. We're going to jump on the horse and get out of Dodge. Actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to go into another room and we're going to eat dinner because we haven't eaten it yet. We're so busy with this show and all the other shows we have coming up. And then I was very busy today with my professional work on television and radio. We haven't had a chance to eat dinner yet. So we're going to have to follow Shauna's plan. Make sure you eat, drink the water. There's times sometimes I don't drink as much water as I should. And then you get parched and you get thirsty at night. And you're like, why am I so thirsty at night? It's because during the day, I didn't drink enough water. So I think follow what Shana was talking about and take care of yourself. We all need to do that because we're all needed in this world. All right, gang, we'll see you again soon. All right, we love you all. Thanks for watching this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. We'll check you on the next one. I'll be here waiting for you. Hope you're here too. Take care. Be well. Cheers.